Gridlock in Norman when police shut down one of the state's busiest highways. OU issues a Zika virus warning to students traveling abroad, and the state issues orders to help stop earthquakes caused by energy producers. This is OU Nightly. Heading south on I-35 through Norman have found it slow going today, and often it's really not like that.
That's right, Ashley. That's because a trucker carrying hundreds of gallons of diesel fuel crashed near Lindsay Street exit and spilled its load all over the interstate. The wreck occurred in an area already congested by the Lindsay Street overpass project. There were no injuries, but with the road blocked and covered with diesel fuel, commuter traffic came to a standstill. The Department of Environmental Quality arrived on the scene to handle the cleanup, an effort that has lasted much of the day. The resulting detours backed up traffic for miles on I-35 and created chaos on Norman roadways near the accident scene. By late this afternoon, the traffic finally began to move again.
And there was another traffic backup in Norman, this time on an important street adjacent to campus. The university closed Elm Street along the west side of campus from Boyd to Brooks, but it was a safety precaution, not a collision, that shut down the usually very busy street. The closure was part of a day-long teach-in featuring world-renowned experts on the First World War. The event was expected to draw in experts on the First World War. The event was expected to draw heavier pedestrian traffic than usual around the Catlett Hall area, so OU decided to close Elm Street to help keep the visitors safe.
That's right, Ashley. And Oklahoma City's plans for an urban railway system are moving ahead. The City Council recently approved a revision that adds a second route specifically serving the future MAPS 3 project and Convention Center, the Cox Center, Bricktown, and the Myrid Botanical Gardens. The route became necessary when plans for the previous MAPS 3 Convention Center located fell through. The new route adds 2.4 miles of rail, a new streetcar, and $3 million to the project's price tag. That money will come from the contingency funds. And you know, today would have been perfect to have that rail car going on because it's been wet and cold.
Definitely. What can we be expecting?
That's just because these things take time.
Construction is expected to begin fall of 2016. The City Council also finalized negotiations with the streetcar manufacturer Brookville for 6 modern streetcars. Now today would have been perfect to have those streetcars in the city. It's been wet and cold.
Definitely. To be a great ride to take. What can you tell us about today?
Mandy?
Well, y'all, it's going to be rainy for, well, a lot this week. I'll have more of that coming up later on in my full forecast. Currently, though, temperatures aren't too cold. We're in the 60s for Norman and Oklahoma City. Now, off to our west, temperatures are already in the 70s. That cloud cover has burned off, so they are seeing lots of sunshine out towards our west. And we do have a chance of severe weather here tonight. I'll have more on that coming up later on. But we will be wet. We will still be cloudy. Make sure you grab that umbrella if you're out and about at any point tonight. 44 degrees by midnight, and we won't cool down a whole lot after that because of all of the cloud cover. Severe weather, well, it's March and it's here. I'll have everything you need to know about what to expect tonight and tomorrow, as well as how much rain we can expect this week. Guys, back to you.
Thanks, Mandy.
OU Nightly's Rebecca Walters joins us now in the News Center with the latest on the funeral arrangements for former First Lady.
Dylan, funeral arrangements are now set for former First Lady Nancy Reagan. Services will be held this Friday at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. Public viewings are also scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday. Reagan died Sunday of congestive heart failure. She was 94. The U.S. and South Korea began their annual military exercises this week. North Korea threatened both the U.S. and South Korea today, saying the two countries are planning to invade. Last week, North Korea ordered its country to be ready to use their nuclear weapons at any time. So far, North Korea has only tested small nuclear devices and long-range missiles. And sparks flew last night in Flint, Michigan at the Democratic debate. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders clashed on everything from gun control to health care. The debate turned slightly personal as candidates attacked each other on issues like the auto bailout and Wall Street money. But with the Michigan primary tomorrow, one thing they did agree on was the Flint water crisis. Both candidates called for the dismissal of anyone with previous knowledge of the water issues. That's what's happening around the world. Now back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Rebecca.
The Zika virus has hit home. Health officials reported last week that the virus attacked 2 Oklahomans who recently traveled abroad. OU Nightly's Brooklyn Hill spoke to an OU researcher who is working to find a solution to the problem.
Dr. Jin Liu, an assistant professor in chemistry, has been studying mosquito-transmitted diseases for over 10 years and is currently researching the Zika virus that has made its way into Oklahoma. Dr. Liu explained that the virus's symptoms are flu-like, and most simply ignore the symptoms of fever and chills. The virus can spread without anyone knowing, and that is why it has now become a danger to so many people.
Symptom is fever and vomiting, similar like dengue fever or Western nylon virus. But that also have the big difference is that Zika virus, about 80% of the infected people do not have the clinical symptom. So these people can also transmit this virus to mosquitoes.
And for more information about the Zika virus, visit www.cdc.gov. Well, still ahead on OU Nightly, we could be seeing reduction in the number of earthquakes we've been feeling here in Oklahoma. But first, we have one more Zika virus story to tell you about. Ashley?
And the Zika virus is also on the mind of OU officials. Nightly's Ryan King shows us that the university is warning students who are considering travel abroad to protect themselves.
When it comes to study abroad, student safety is the top priority for the University of Oklahoma. As far as the Zika virus goes, being prepared and informed is the course of action.
The Zika virus, as with any other illness or any other concern that we have overseas, we prepare our students before they go abroad. We make sure that they're aware of any potential risks or complications anywhere they go in the world.
There are specific precautions Grelot believes students should take if they travel to countries with the Zika virus.
Keep windows closed if possible, stay in air-conditioned places where mosquitoes are less likely to be found. So in this case, making sure that they wear mosquito repellent, that they are covered as much as possible so that they're less likely to be bitten by mosquitoes. So we are not banning any travel. We're just preparing students before they go and making sure that they take all the necessary precautions and that they're informed. That's the primary thing, is that they're informed.
Having recently traveled herself, Grelot still believes it is as safe as ever to study abroad.
I might mention I just came back from South America. I've only been home for a few days and was in Brazil, was in Argentina, was in Chile. And, all of us on the trip, I was traveling with alums, we all took the necessary precautions and used mosquito repellent and covered up. And not only did we not really even see any mosquitoes, none of us were affected by mosquitoes or, of course, the illness. So, it's definitely something that can be managed, is manageable, and that we train our students to manage when they travel abroad.
Ryan King, OU Nightly.
Thanks, Ryan.
Well, still ahead on OU Nightly, the state acts to stop earthquakes.
Plus, Rashida Kaba joins us for her Earth Report. She will have all the details about Scott Kelly and some of the problems he's facing being back on Earth. Another strong earthquake shook the dinner tables of families in northwest Oklahoma last night. The 4.0 quake was one of 40 earthquakes to rattle Oklahomans in the past week alone. Last night's was centered near Fairview. That's part of an area where the Corporation Commission has ordered oil and gas companies to reduce wastewater injections by 40%.
And today, the Corporation Commission directed energy producers to do the same thing in the vast area of central Oklahoma. The quake-rattled area includes 5,000 square miles ranging from near Norman to just south of Ponca City. The order applies to 125 companies that operate more than 400 disposal wells in the area. This brings the total number of oil and gas wells affected by the Commission's 2 orders to more than 600.
Now Rashida Kaba joins us for this week's Earth Report. Rashida, what information do we have new in Flint, Michigan?
That's right, Ashley. With the presidential Democratic debates being held in Flint, Michigan, the water crisis was the center stage for that. Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders pushed the button and called for the resignation of Michigan's governor, Rick Snyder. Bernie Sanders saying that the governmental structures poisoned its own people. Clinton backed him in saying that she agreed with the people of Flint that their governor should go. And the lead contaminated water in Flint, Michigan has much of America spooked about its drinking water. The Associated Press announced that the results of the national-wide poll, and the results are not very encouraging. Less than half of Americans say they're extremely or very confident about the safety of their water they drink. Nearly 20% say they're not very confident or not confident at all. The poll found trust levels are even lower among minorities and lower income communities. Half of Americans say the federal government should do more to ensure the drinking water is safe. And just days after NASA astronaut Scott Kelly returns to Earth after traveling 144 million miles over the course of a year, it comes as no surprise he's suffering from a cause of ultra jet lag. He described his skin as being very sensitive to touch due to his lack of contact while in space. Scientists say this small observation alone is going to potentially help them investigate future trips to space. Kelly did say this would most likely be his last trip to outer space.
I do not think I could stay in space that long.
Right. I am not surprised that this is his last trip. You know, they said that they had a Russian machine where they changed the flow of his blood. So now, you know, it's a lot of drastic measures that have been taken.
Exactly. I couldn't even stay in the dorm for a semester, so there's no telling how I would have done it.
Just imagine the food, eating different food, like, you know, you're up in the air all the time.
Entirely different lifestyle.
It is, totally. So, well, that's all I have for you guys today.
Thanks, Rashida.
Thank you so much. And still ahead on OU Nightly, OU raises a boatload of money for a really great cause.
And coming up, Mandy Bailey will be here with weather. We've got some significant weather coming our way. As you can see right now, it looks cold, rainy, cloudy. Mandy Bailey's next, and she'll tell you how to get ready for tonight. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to OU Nightly. I'm Mandy Bailey. And now that it's March, we do have to be concerned about severe weather. We have our first dry line of this season, substantial dry line of the season, currently situated off in western Oklahoma. You can really tell with these dew point temperatures. We have dew points in the 60s here in Oklahoma City and Norman, and well, on the opposite side, even out in Guyman, we have dew points of 4 degrees. So quite the dry line situated far off to our west. Now, good news for us here in Norman, because that's so far off to our west, as we head into tonight, it's going to be slower to get here, and that's going to help us with severe weather impacts. Aren't going to be quite as great here in Oklahoma City and Norman. But because of how dry they are off in the Panhandle, they do have a red flag warning for those counties behind the dry line that will be in effect for the rest of today. And if you have any open flames out there where it's still sunny, just make sure you don't do that because of the red flag warnings. Winds will be pretty strong out there as well. Now, here in Oklahoma City, now coming into tonight, we are under a slight risk threat for severe weather. Now, the main threats with this here in Norman and Oklahoma City will probably be damaging winds and some hail. I don't expect us to see any tornadoes here tonight, but if you're off in southwestern Oklahoma towards this area right here, I think it's possible to see an isolated tornado or two. Now, we're not talking anything huge, but still be aware if you're in southwestern Oklahoma, if a couple storms fire up off of that dry line, I think there's going to be some good possibilities of seeing some severe weather with that. Now, tomorrow we also have a chance of severe weather. This does include Oklahoma City and Norman, and then head south into Texas, including North Texas as well. The yellow area is a slight risk. So again, damaging winds, some hail, and a possible isolated tornado. Now, we're not talking about any outbreaks, but if a storm fires up, I think with the conditions, with the moisture and some of the winds that we have in place for tomorrow, there also is a possibility that we might see an isolated tornado. Now, here in Norman, I don't think we're going to have to worry about that. Now, farther south into Texas, they have a higher risk, but that's not going to affect us here in Oklahoma. Now, we do have rain on the way after the severe weather moves on through tonight and tomorrow. How much rain are we talking about? Well, heading into tonight, we will start to see some rain here in Norman, and as we head through the rest of our week, that is going to be increasing. Now, these numbers down to our south will be higher than what we see here in Oklahoma City and Norman, but I don't think we're going to see quite that much rain here in Norman as well. But 2 to 3 inches is a good idea of what to expect for rainfall through Friday, and well, we'll keep tabs on that as we continue moving on through the rest of the week. Lows tonight will stay warmer because of all of the cloud cover. We'll be in the upper 50s here in Norman and Oklahoma City. We'll be in the 60s off in northeastern Oklahoma. So if you're out and about in the morning, you're probably not going to need a jacket. You just might want to bring that rain jacket because we'll be rainy and, well, not too warm throughout tomorrow. We'll stay pretty stable in the 60s. That wind from the south, so it won't feel colder than it is, but we will have rain chances all the way through your day tomorrow. Tomorrow's highs will be pretty much the same throughout Oklahoma, upper 60s and lower 70s. And well, the next 7 days, I mentioned it, it's going to be rainy and wet. And well, we're not going to see that sun for quite some time as we head through the rest of our week. Rain chances do last through Saturday. Now they dwindle as we head through the rest of the week. We do see a break towards the end of the weekend, but you might want to have that rain boot and rain jacket ready.
I'm glad to see the rain come into Oklahoma because we've been really needing it.
We really need it. We have not
flag.
seen the rain this whole year that we've really been expecting.
Just a little nerve-wracking when it starts to come in spring and we've got tornado chances and hail.
Right. Well, the biggest thing is make sure you have a plan. Have your safe spot ready. Know where you're going to do and what you're going to go, or what you're going to do and where you're going to go if severe weather hits your area, because you don't want to be unprepared.
Exactly. So important for here in the Sooner State. Thanks, Mandy.
No problem.
Thank you so much.
Well, over the weekend, OU Soonerthon set a record. On Saturday, dancers raised more than $721,000 for the Children's Miracle Network. Standing 12 hours in dancing, students broke last year's record by over $200,000. The Soonerthon Dance Marathon works year-round to raise money so local kids can get in-state treatment for their medical needs. Such a great story.
That's an unbelievable amount of money. That is so awesome that we're able to do that at the University of Oklahoma.
It really is.
It's incredible. Well, now we have Reagan Ledbetter telling us everything about OU basketball. Reagan?
Thanks, guys. The Sheriff has officially stepped down, and Buddy Love went back-to-back. Sports is straight ahead. Sports, I'm Reagan Ledbetter. Buddy Hield continues to be at the center of attention. OU sharpshooter has been named the Big 12 Player of the Year. This is the second time he has won the award in as many years.
You know, my confidence is always high, and I set a high standard for myself. You know, I just stay quiet and I just humbly work, and no matter what happened, and I just want to compete as hard as I can.
And again, can't imagine anyone being more consistent at a very, very high level than what Buddy's been from first game right through to the last game yesterday. He's been not only phenomenal in his play, but very, very consistent in his production, and he's been great.
Buddy, the boys took care of business in their last game of the regular season. After a slow start, OU's solid second half pushed them past TCU. The game really didn't help OU, and the Sooners were given the third seed and will face Iowa State in the first game of the Big 12 tournament. And for a weekend recap and look at what's next in Sooner Sports, be sure to watch Sooner Sports Pad this week. Here's Blakely Durham with the What's Happening. Blakely?
Yes, Reagan, we have a lot of hoops news with plenty of gymnastics thrown in there too. Live on Fox Sports Oklahoma tonight and replay tomorrow right here after our news. The Sooners big men of the future visit us on set. We go one-on-one with gymnast Alan Bauer, and we talk to his very busy assistant coach who is headed to the U.S. Olympic trials. But for now, let's get it back to you at the desk. Reagan?
Thank you, Blakely. And OU women's basketball spent the weekend in OKC for the Big 12 tournament. Despite beating Oklahoma State on Saturday, the Sooners took a near 30-point beating on Sunday from Baylor. OU now has their sights set on the NCAA tournament. But on the bright side, the #1 ranked men's gym team took care of business again. #2 Stanford was in town Saturday, and the Sooners made history en route to their victory. OU put up a score of 452.350, the fourth score over 450 in NCAA history. The Sooners continue the season Friday as they take on Ohio State. And the seniors of the women's gymnastics team went out on a high note. Keely Kmiecek led the way as OU rolled past number 18 Arizona. Next up, the top team flies out to LA to close out the regular season at number 7 UCLA. Well, after 18 incredible years, the Sheriff is hanging up his boots. Peyton Manning says an emotional goodbye to football. He won 5 MVPs, 2 Super Bowls during his time with the Colts and the Broncos.
When I look back on my NFL career, I'll know without a doubt that I gave everything I had to help my teams walk away with a win. There were other players who were more talented, but there was no one who could out-prepare me. And because of that, I have no regret.
And new tonight, tennis star Maria Sharapova has landed in hot water. She tested positive for meldonium at the Australian Open in January.
I made a huge mistake, and I've let my fans down. I've let the sport down.
Guys, the drug she tested positive for was just added to the prohibited list this year. She says she didn't know anything of it, and there has been no disciplinary action against her yet. So it's a random story.
It'll be interesting to see how they react to that since it's just added this year.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Reagan.
Well, still ahead, no need to be scared of this new sea creature. Straight ahead on OU Nightly.
This is Erica Lopez with your OUTV weather brief. For tomorrow's highs, we're expecting for most of the state to be in the 60s, with Norman seeing temperatures at 68 and Oklahoma seeing temperatures at 69. And these are far above the normal for this time of year. Now, our lows for tomorrow night as well, they're going to be a little bit above normal, and the normal for this year is 59. But Norman is seeing temperatures at 58 degrees, with Oklahoma seeing a low temperature of 58 as well. And as you can take a look at Guyman, they are going to see the chilliest night with 38 degrees. Now for our day planner, we are going to see a very rainy and stormy day, starting with your 8 a.m. from winds at the southeast from 10 to 15 miles per hour, and we're starting with the temperature of 60 degrees. Now for your noon hours, these will begin to pick up with the temperature of 67 degrees and a temperature of 68 degrees by your 4 p.m. Now for the 7-day forecast, we are going to see a very few days with instability, with Tuesday and Wednesday seeing an 80% chance of rain, and your Wednesday seeing a 40% chance of rain. But for Thursday and Friday and Saturday, we are still going to have this instability. But for your weekend, we should see temperatures warming up to the 70s with mostly cloudy skies, and we are going to see fairly warm temperatures for your lows. This has been an OUTV Weather Brief. Good night.
This is an OUTV Sports Brief. I'm Lindy Simpson. Sooners superstar Buddy Hield received the Big 12 Player of the Year award Sunday. This is the second time that Hield has been named Big 12's top star. Hield is leading the conference with an average of 25.1 points a game. He also holds the record for the most three-pointers in conference play in Big 12 history, with 79 three-pointers. Now, for the fifth straight week, the women's gymnastics team is in the top spot. The women are also ranked first as a program on bars and floor. The ladies are ranked third on vault and second on beam. Men's gym is killing it too. They beat number 2 Stanford Saturday with a score of 452.35. This team score is the third highest in NCAA history. After an 18-year football career, Peyton Manning officially retires. Manning had a memorable career. He won 5 MVP awards and 2 Super Bowl championships. This was an OUTV Sports Brief. I'm Lindy Simpson. Good night.
This is an OUTV News Brief. I'm Nola Allinger. OU students set a new campus record this weekend with Sooner-thon, raising over $721,000 for the Children's Miracle Network on Saturday. Sooner-thon is an organization that works year-round to raise money to provide life-saving treatment for kids here in Oklahoma. They broke last year's record by over $200,000. And you might have felt a tremor at the dinner table last night as a strong earthquake struck northwestern Oklahoma. The 4-point quake was one of 40 earthquakes to go across the state this week alone. And traffic is finally moving again on 35 at Lindsay Street after a huge semi crash today. The truck, which was carrying hundreds of gallons of diesel, crashed at the Lindsay exit and got diesel everywhere. The area is already congested due to construction, but with this wreck, commuters were at a standstill. This has been an OUTV News Brief. I'm Nola Allinger. Be sure to watch OU Nightly live at 4:30. Good night.